For us, guys, where should we begin? I'll tell you this, something is not right. What is happening right now in the world and what just happened to my friend Charlie Kirk.
Something feels off. That's how the day began for millions of people who woke up to a storm of headlines, accusations, and chaos surrounding Charlie Kirk's sudden and mysterious death. It wasn't just another political controversy. It was something darker, something that felt orchestrated, tangled in secrecy and power. On what should have been an ordinary Tuesday, the air was thick with unease. Reporters scrambled, friends whispered, and one voice, louder, sharper, and more defiant than the rest, began to pierce through the fog. Candace Owens. Her revelations, delivered with conviction and fire, shattered whatever calm remained. To her, this wasn't merely tragedy or coincidence. It was a collision between good and evil, a war being fought behind closed doors, and the beginning of a story that might expose far more than anyone ever expected. According to Owens, the official version of events doesn't hold water. The supposed lone actor, Tyler Robinson, might not be the monster the world is being told he is. Prosecutors say Robinson turned himself in, his DNA found on a rifle linked to the attack. But Owens quickly pointed out the inconsistencies, the missing footage, the mismatched timelines, and most importantly, the way his behavior didn't align with the story being sold. Why would a man supposedly intent on destruction voluntarily surrender? Why did his supposed partner, Lance Twigs, delete messages and vanish from public view? And if everything was so straightforward, why was there such a rush to seal the investigation before the details could be fully examined? Owens claimed those answers didn't lead to one man's guilt. They pointed to a much larger machine at work. From the beginning, Candace Owens refused to stay silent. She began connecting dots others ignored, a shadowy web of connections stretching from Charlie's personal life to the very heart of the organization he built. Tyler Robinson, she suggested, might not have been the architect of chaos but a pawn in a much bigger game. Someone had written a script, and Robinson's name was simply inserted into the story. The evidence, Owens argued, was too convenient. The engraved bullet markings, the perfectly timed confession, the found text messages that didn't even sound like his words. Those messages used phrases Robinson never used, slang that didn't fit, a tone that felt artificial. She asked the obvious question: who really wrote them? As the days passed, even Robinson's own family began to question the narrative. His father spoke publicly, insisting that the boy he knew couldn't have done what was being claimed. The family said they were blindsided by the accusations, learning about them through the news rather than from investigators. Candace seized on that fact, calling it proof that the system wasn't seeking justice. It was managing perception. According to her, this wasn't an investigation, it was a production. Every scene carefully directed, every actor given their lines, and every inconvenient truth buried beneath the weight of an official report. But Owens wasn't finished. She dug deeper into what Charlie Kirk himself had been working on in the final weeks of his life. An internal audit of Turning Point USA. To the public, it was just another business move, but to insiders, it was a declaration of war. Charlie had reportedly ordered a full-scale financial review, assigning a special task force to track down unexplained spending and hold top executives accountable. Just days before his death, he signed a memorandum appointing Justin Streff as the new CEO, granting him sweeping powers to reform the organization from the inside out. To Owens, that memo was more than corporate housekeeping. It was the spark that lit the fuse. In her view, Charlie's determination to clean house had threatened too many powerful figures who had grown comfortable in the shadows. Owens' theory was that Charlie Kirk's push for transparency made him dangerous. In a world built on hidden funding, political favors, and quiet deals, a man demanding honesty becomes a liability. She hinted that his audit could expose not just financial irregularities, but connections between Turning Point's donors and foreign political interests. Just a week before his death, Charlie had reportedly resisted pressure to travel overseas for what was described as a policy event, a trip that Owens claims was far more than it appeared. According to her, it was an attempt to keep him under watch, or perhaps to remove him from the equation altogether. She even named billionaire Bill Ammon, accusing him of applying political and financial pressure on Kirk. Ammon publicly denied every word, calling Owens' statements fiction, but for many, his denial only deepened the mystery. Then came the most bizarre twist of all, the case of George Zinn, a 71-year-old man who suddenly appeared in the investigation claiming responsibility for the attack. He confessed in detail, saying he acted alone. For a moment, authorities believed they had solved the case, until they realized none of it made sense. Zin's story fell apart under scrutiny, his alibi didn't match, and eventually, he was charged with obstruction of justice instead. Owens claimed this wasn't coincidence. It was a distraction. A decoy meant to shift the media's attention. A carefully timed diversion to keep the real story buried. And while all this played out, surveillance footage quietly emerged. In grainy black and white, a shadowed figure appeared on the roof of the auditorium moments before the shooting. Calm, methodical, deliberate. The movements didn't match the description of Tyler Robinson, nor did the build. Even more disturbing, timestamps placed Robinson miles away at a Dairy Queen during the exact same window. Witnesses saw him there. Digital pings confirmed it. Yet law enforcement refused to reconsider. Owens pointed to this as the ultimate contradiction. An official narrative built on ignoring its own evidence. If he was eating ice cream, she asked, then who was on the roof? By now, it wasn't just about one case. It was about a pattern of silence, fear, and manipulation. Owens accused government agencies of shielding those truly responsible, claiming that too many political names were connected to the investigation for it to ever be honest. Whispers grew louder that one of Charlie's recent adversaries, a state-level politician he had publicly criticized for his foreign policy stance, had more to lose than anyone else. That politician's defensive behavior, his public outbursts at reporters, became another puzzle piece in Owens' growing mosaic of corruption and betrayal. Each revelation painted a picture not of one rogue act, but of a calculated effort to erase a man who had become too bold, too transparent, too uncontrollable. Owens argued that Charlie's fall was not just political but symbolic, the moment where truth collided with power, and power decided to win. Behind the veil of grief and ceremony, she saw the fingerprints of an invisible war. One fought not with bullets alone, but with silence, manipulation, and control. The official story may be sealed in documents and press conferences, but the cracks are everywhere. From the false confessions to the doctored messages, from the unexplained footage to the ignored alibis, everything points to a reality more complicated than the world has been told. Candace Owens insists that what happened to Charlie Kirk isn't just one tragedy, it's a warning. A reminder of how quickly truth can be rewritten, how easily evidence can vanish, and how power always finds a way to protect itself. So now, the question isn't just who pulled the trigger, but who wrote the script. Was this an act of madness, or the final move in a much larger game? Was Charlie Kirk silenced for what he discovered, or for what he was about to reveal? And if the truth really is being buried, how long before it surfaces again? Let's hear what you think. Was this tragedy really as simple as officials want us to believe, or is there a deeper story waiting to be uncovered? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because we're not done. There's still more to uncover, and the truth, no matter how dark or dangerous, deserves to be heard.